You're watching Grassroots Resistance Collective, Texas grown, people powered, and unapologetically bold. We expose corruption, amplify real candidates, and give voters the truth the system tries to bury. No spin, no sellouts, just resistance. Let's get to work.
Good evening, everybody. It is Tuesday, August 26th. Welcome to the show. We are here with Ms. Chastity and Ms. Jen. And our special guest tonight, we have Mr. Taylor Rehmet. He's an Air Force veteran, machinist, union president, and he's a Democrat running for Texas Senate District 3 in the upcoming special election. His campaign is grounded in service, fairness, and democracy. And tonight we're going to talk to him about his platform, and we're going to see why this race matters to Texans. Once again, this is the Grassroots Resistance Collective. What's up, Chas?
Hi.
Ms. Jen.
Nothing. Hey guys, it's District 9, by the way.
Did I not say that? What did I say?
3.
Oh, I'm sorry. District 9. I'm sorry. We'll run that back. So we got Taylor Rehmet running for Texas Senate District 9. All right. Mr. Taylor, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. I'll go ahead and give the floor to you. Give us a little bit of your background.
Hey, well, thank you for having me. So I was in college, grew up in, Garland, Texas, and I was in college whenever I got the call to serve the country in the Air Force. And after serving 4 years, enlisted in the Air Force, I got out and got a job working in aviation because that's what I did. I worked on B-52 bombers when I was in the Air Force.
Nice.
And so I missed it a lot, and I found a job here in Fort Worth, Lockheed Martin, working on the F-35 fighter program. And it's an extreme passion of mine, aviation. And I got to really learn quickly about, my contract and the union that I had joined. The International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers, the IAM for short. And I immediately I felt gratitude because I was like, I have extremely, good benefits. It built me a stable life. And so again, I started getting active in my union. I quickly became the president of my local lodge, got elected. That's about 1,500 members, give or take. And after I had gotten elected and served as the president of my local, about 3 or 4 years after that, I had seen that there's a state level position that I wanted to run for the union, which was the president of the Texas State Council of Machinists. And I won that election 2 years ago, and I've been serving in that role. And in that role, I represent over 30,000 machinists in this great state. And I interfere with like bad legislation that will hurt, my machinist workers, stuff like that. So I'll work directly with politicians on, both sides of the aisle, if I have to, get things done. So that's a bit about my background. And, I was looking at, trying to serve in a bigger capacity. And, I'm really frustrated with what's going on in Texas, for a while, and especially here recently. And so it just makes me that much more enthralled and energized for this election, because we have to make the Texas legislature work for working Texans. It's really that simple.
Yeah. So you're running in a special election this year. What makes this race different, and why should voters of District 9 consider you?
Well, your first part of that is, why is this special? It's because this special election is triggered by a vacancy due to Kelly Hancock taking a comptroller spot appointment from Governor Greg Abbott. And so it triggered a special election, and the date was set for November 4th this year. So this is a special election. There's no incumbent, and the seat is flippable. So, and you asked, why should voters choose me, or why should the voters in Senate District 9 choose me? Because I think I'm the only one that will actually show up and listen. And I think that that's, one of the problems that I'm seeing a lot. People are talking about constituents and not talking to them and listening.
Yeah.
So, not just that, I want to start making, strides in our working conditions here in Texas. And we're we're low density in union here in this state. And I want to try and, legislate ways to increase that, make it easier to unionize here in Texas, because I have personally benefited from, a union. I want others to as well. It's important to me.
So what kind
Because, oh, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I was gonna ask, what kind of pushback or I guess like opposition do you have whenever you're trying to defend your union?
Like defend them in what way?
Well, you obviously have to get the union together to to fight for whatever motive y'all have. Like what type of obstacles do you run into whenever you're trying to get through these challenges, as far as being the leader of a union?
So are you talking about whenever I'm like representing like a member on the shop floor, or whenever I'm representing
as
politician?
As the president of the union?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
When you have to speak before elected officials, like in what ways have you gotten pushback to labor here in Texas?
Typically, getting the runaround, they're polite about it, right? They're not gonna, slam the door in my face, but just not getting truly heard, not being able to see the actual representative and explain and break down the issues of like why we need this, or why, hey, I don't want you to close this this base or reduce this at all, because I got service contract members out there that are working, those trainer aircrafts. But, most of all, what I'm starting to see, I think, is a lot of these, a lot of it is, you have other lobbyists, right? Like you have lobbyists that are lobbying against unions. You have legislation that is against unions.
Yeah.
So, the fight, labor and unions, the fight we have is, with both hands tied behind our back, and, and then they're calling it a fair fight. It's really what it comes down to, is putting profits over people. And, again, in a capitalist society, that is something they tend to do. But, at what point do we hold people sacred? What point do we hold anything sacred, like our election process? We have to start, to answer your question, whenever I'm facing, obstacles, it's, mostly, Republican members, and they're very, very hard to get a hold of when you say you're from a union.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so
try it out.
Can you explain why it's so important to have the ability to collectively bargain? Why are unions so important, and why does Texas need more of them?
So, great question. Probably going to be my favorite question. Unions give you agency. Unions give you dignity and respect in the workplace. They give you a grievance procedure process. So you're not just going to be able to get fired. That's the end of it. Good luck. Go file your lawsuit or whatever you got to do. No, your union's going to step in and try their damnedest to take care of you and fight for you. And you also have seniority, which that's job security, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you get, if you have seniority and you get laid off due to, let's say, unforeseen circumstances, right? Layoffs happen. If in 6 months they say, oh wait, actually we got a new contract, we need to hire everyone back, you're going to get a call, whether the boss likes you or not. You're getting that call because you have a seniority and recall rights. So and another thing is, you look at union workers, and on average they're paid 33% higher nationwide, and they also have better health care.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I can go on. By the way, I can go on. So yes, there's a lot of reasons you're going to want a union, and you're going to hear a lot of the bad. You know, people say, "Oh, well, I know so and so one time, and the union didn't help them, and things." I'm not saying everything has to be perfect, but I'm telling you right now, I have seen so many people get helped by our union and other unions that
Yeah.
we need more.
We actually have a question from the from our YouTube channel.
Okay.
It's about unions. Larry B's asking, what are the biggest negatives if you had to choose about unions, or one thing he would like to improve about the current unions?
So that's a really good question. I can sit here and rave about unions. I can say it's anything you're going to find negative with unions is something you find about human nature, right? I mean, people, when they get power, they can abuse it, right? And
Absolutely.
when you have something you're supposed to hold sacred, like a union, and doing the right thing, especially when you're arguing with the company, when the door's closed, you're supposed to do the right thing, argue, and again, no system is perfect, but what I would like to see is I would like to see from unions something that could be better. I think that we could organize better. I think that a lot of unions need to, go back and start really talking to their members, rank and file members. Again, it's not something that I've seen personally, but I have heard of these things, and it would be a negative. To me, that's a huge negative if your union isn't talking to your rank and file people. But again, those people still also have a grievance procedure and other things too. So
Yeah,
it's good that they have a union.
yeah. As far as union goes, I know there might be some like discouragement, maybe from certain, I guess, job markets or sectors, more like industrial type work. Because I know in certain jobs that I have, you even talk about a union, and everyone will give you a look, or it's like, we don't say that word here, or something like that.
I wonder why.
Yeah. So obviously, that comes from some type of intimidation. But what would you
Sure.
suggest to somebody who is trying to form a union or get together with their other workers, and maybe try to get something going for themselves to improve their work life?
Look, nothing great has ever came easy,
Hmm.
and you got to be fearless. You do. You have to have a level of fearlessness, not recklessness, fearlessness, and the fact that it's legally protected to unionize. Okay, and I know that
There's workarounds.
there's tricky things.
Yeah.
There's entire law firms whose whole business
Hmm.
is busting unions.
Yeah.
If that isn't, I mean, that tells you unions work. Okay, because you know okay, so some people say, "Oh, unions don't work." Well, then why is there entire law firms that are based around union busting, getting paid $400 an hour and hundreds of dollars an hour per staff member, 24 hours a day they're on site. So
Mm.
again, you're talking, and if the company's going to spend that just to make sure this one time they don't unionize, don't you think that means that there's some money for these workers out here that they're just not letting go of? I would say absolutely. It's obvious. And, that being said, I really think that if someone wants to unionize, number one, please contact me. I'll help you. But also, number two, stand up, do what's right, do your research, right? I mean, it is federally protected. And again, I would love part of the work that I do in the legislature be going against, creating, laws to help protect people who are vulnerable because they're trying to, get the right to bargain.
Hmm.
I think, yeah. So, in a nutshell,
So, like, speaking of the laws, it almost seems like a union buster would be unconstitutional. Is that something that is talked about? Because I mean, technically, uh, these people are organizing these workers are organizing the protest, but I guess there's some kind of gray area because if it's like a private
companies.
entity or something like that.
So let me put it this way. I'm not a legal expert,
Yeah.
but I would say that so the reason why they hire lawyers is because of how slippery it is. Because the company doesn't want to be so the company does not want to be in legal jeopardy. So they have a law firm to do it. So in case something, okay, they got to represent themselves. They got to represent and figure this out. Which I don't know if y'all ever heard about the Amazon warehouse that was being organized. Did y'all remember that in the news?
Yes.
I mean, they were changing the stoplights because the organizers were sitting at the stoplights trying to talk to workers while they're on their way to work. I mean, they will go to no. There is yes, and listen. To be honest, it's creative. I'll give them that. That was creative to change stuff. Like respect, even though you're on the wrong side of things. You're terrible for doing that. But I respect the game, and at the end of the day, that's the type of legal stuff like the company is going to want to know, because the company is going to want to throw as much money as they can to make sure these people don't organize. I've seen, and they have tactics. I really, it's not just intimidation and scare tactics, mind you. I'll tell you some other things they do. They will, oh, hey, we're going to start giving out free ice cream, and you're going to get a nickel raise. And once because what happens is they'll start seeing the flyers, the union flyers will be left on the floor. We're gonna have a pizza party. So yeah, everyone just we appreciate y'all. Yeah. But then they're missing out on 25% pay that they should be getting increased over their next contract to match with inflation and all these other things that are increasing our cost of living. So again, they're gonna try and get out cheap. They're going to try and settle with something like that. And then it goes to they're not going to use the scare tactics on everybody. They're going to make the organizers that are trying to organize, the organizers trying to unionize, they're going to pick out the leaders. And if they find out who they are, they're going to try and scare them and intimidate them. And in that way, once they get fired for their work performance, everyone knows, oh shoot, okay. So, but they can't fire everyone, right? That's why they're not gonna do that. So
how would you encourage small businesses to be more open-minded to the prospect of collective bargaining in their workplaces? There's got to be some kind of way to incentivize these companies that they allow unionizing, something to make it not such a battle between the two.
Absolutely. So again, it's interesting because I actually don't think a lot of small businesses are organized when you compare them to the big corporations. Because typically on a smaller scale, look, I would love to see everyone organized in a union, but some businesses aren't geared that way, and they can still provide really good benefits to their employees. I'm a union man, I'm a union leader. I do think unions are good. However, there's some shops, yes, we have like 2 people, 10 people.
Yeah.
But there's also shops if we walk in there and they're getting treated so well and they know it, we couldn't organize them anyway. And it's normally these small businesses, where they hire, their family or people they know, So but let me answer your question, because that is actually a really good question. If I was, a mid-sized business owner a business owner of a mid-sized company, I would just go to pick a union, and I would go talk to them first. Beat your workers to the punch, and just say, hey, talk to the union, say, hey, I want my guys represented, but they'll never do that because it's not in their best interest. It's not going to hit their like, why would they do that? It's not it's just one of those things that it's kind of got to be fought out, I think. But
so employers need to be reminded that having a robust workforce benefits your bottom line. When you have employees that are well cared for.
So part of what actually I wanted to do one of my brainstorms. It's actually, I think you're extremely smart for asking that question, because one of the things I was thinking is, I was like, I wish I could just put together some data and go show one of these business owners, hey, if you can let us, negotiate and make sure that they're in the industry leading or industry level, pay. If you help, we can do all the legwork and do all that for you, but you realize that you're actually going to get a better product. You're going to get better, a happy workforce is a productive workforce. I'm sure you can all agree there. And so, if, that is one of the approaches I wanted to do to organize, and just go straight up to the company and say, hey, look, you should consider letting them organize and letting them, have these benefits. But again, I've also seen times where, we organize them. We've organized I don't want to say too much, but I don't want to dime out the employer or whatever, but an employer had didn't have the money. They're like, well, how are we going to get the money? I'm like, well, you underbid the contract is what you did, that's on you. You should have, you're paying these people under, $10 an hour, and they have an extremely hard job. And you're these people were high turnover, and then next thing you know, they're organized. They had to renegotiate the contract and get some money for them, because again, when you organize, we don't negotiate down, we negotiate up. And so they got some more money, and then all of a sudden it was the same people. It was a janitorial services, and so we would see the same people, and we're like, okay, cool, they got it. It really stabilized the market, the job. And that's an added value to the company. And I think they saw that. I don't know if they'd admit it, but I think they saw that.
I wonder if there wouldn't be a way to offer some sort of tax incentive, tax break to a business between a certain employee range, because I understand what you're saying. When it's a smaller staff, you don't necessarily need to unionize. But when we're talking about like 10 plus, once you get to 10 employees, if you allow them to unionize, or you offer a specific benefit package, then you get some sort of tax benefit. But if we keep telling, like Chastity owns a small business,
sure,
there's no way running her small business, covering her overhead, the taxes and fees that she has to pay, that she could feasibly allow unionizing or a robust benefits package for a large employee base. If we could potentially incentivize her with a tax break, then, just some sort of way to allow them to be able to do this.
Agreed. And here's what you'll find. A lot of unions, if they're like, for instance, my union, we have about 600,000 active members across the nation, actually international. So we actually have our own insurance benefit. I mean, so there's ways that the union adds that value of, hey, we already big enough because we already have enough people for an insurance plan, right? And so, that's why maybe, talking to these smaller businesses saying, hey, paying all this for insurance, if they unionize and they got on our insurance, it'd be that much better. And so, but to your point about like having a tax incentive, I actually think that'd be interesting to look at. As far as, here's the thing, when it comes down to it, nothing's really given to you. Nothing's easy. We're usually going to end up demanding and fighting for the needs of the workers. So, you look at some of these businesses like Walmart that pay these really low wages, and they're getting subsidized already with, we got working welfare people.
Yeah.
Hardworking welfare people, which I think are, again, if they just paid, them a fair wage, yeah, it wouldn't have to be on. And so again, you're right. It comes back to like, can we cut a step out of this? Like, can we make this more streamlined? That's something I'm interested in looking into. Absolutely. I have a whole lot of stuff I'm excited to look at. Great questions, by the way.
And I just want to say, Taylor, I am a huge huge supporter of unions, huge supporter of collective bargaining. I think every industry should have a union. I think everyone should have access to one. I think they're great. They're why we have OSHA. They're why we have maternity leave. They're why we have the breaks that we have, the weekly work schedule that we have, child labor laws. All of these things came from unions and collective bargaining saving your butts. Period. Sorry, go ahead. Soapbox over.
No, that absolutely. Round of applause goes to you. Yes, all of that and more. And it's why I'm so passionate about this. You know, like, again, it's just helping people. It's literally getting them stuff that they need. You know, we need to have a leisure time. We need to have vacations. We need to have a life outside of our work, right?
Yeah.
And there was a time in this country that we didn't. And that should, scare people a little bit. It should, make people realize that if we don't keep fighting, we're going back that direction, right? I mean, I think in Florida they started going back and repealing some of the child laws there. I don't know if you heard anything about that. That was weird, man. That's weird.
There's literally kids dying in factories working illegally right now while they are trying to pass laws to reduce child labor laws, or the age, like the legal age for children to work. They've done it in Tennessee, Florida. There's several southern states. I think Louisiana is one. They're dying while you're passing the laws to allow it to be okay. And what that tells me is that these mega corporations are going to these politicians and saying, we can afford the lawsuits from these babies dying on our warehouse floors. So can you please pass a law to make it okay that their corpse is here? And that's what we're voting for.
Yep. That's, and unfortunately, that's just, where we're at. And I think that, on a positive note, the approval rating for unions right now is extremely high. So I'm hoping that translates into, us going back and getting, more. Look, we shouldn't be having as a 40-hour work week as it is. There's actually proven data that shows that, working a 32-hour work week with the same pay is still going to give you the same amount of productivity out of those people, those workers. And so, it's like you said before, and we agree, a happy workforce is a extremely productive workforce. And again, I think that there's a lot of work to still be done. I hear people all the time, oh, we already have OSHA, we already have, child labor laws. We don't need unions anymore. Couldn't be further from the truth. Could not be. I mean, the fight's not over. It's far from over.
Especially with the administration we have in power right now, actively trying to take us back 100 years at a time.
Yeah. Let me go ahead and put this out there. Oh,
yes.
That's my chair.
I think I read something today that they're hiring some people back from the IRS. I think I read like a real quick blip somewhere that they're starting to. A judge somewhere banned. I don't know. I got to go back and read it, but I just saw it like right before we came on.
I'm sure they're hiring them to go after the billionaires. That's what they want to do.
Yeah, I wouldn't put my money on that, but I hear you. No, here's the thing. I even went on. I like perusing those websites, like RS website. I just like looking at them and seeing what information they put on there. And I was recently trying to look at some stuff on there, and like the web page wasn't working. And I said, okay, whatever. I've lost interest and I moved on, right? Well, I was messing around with it like last week. This was months ago. And then I was messing around with it last week. Again, I hit that same error and it was like, yeah, we can't, just like, what's going on here? Anyway, yeah, they need to hire a lot of people back.
Taylor, I heard that I said this earlier, you already have a pretty big following apparently on social media. I know my social media, when I posted about you, like people were blowing me up. One of the things that somebody had said is that you are pro hemp.
Absolutely.
Is that true? Yeah.
Yes. Because that's a working person's issue.
Yes, for sure. So can you just kind of give me like what you or how you support? Do you support medical, recreational, both, or kind of just adult choice?
Listen, I'm gonna just dive into one specific thing, okay, about this. You know, I know I'm a disabled veteran. I'm a veteran, and I know so many veterans that need this for their anxiety, for their chronic pain, and this is something that, you know, the government should really, you know, as far as like banning it, no, we have to control it, but we can tax it. We can, you know, make sure it's lab tested, it's good, legal stuff that we're getting. But, you know, we have to have this for our vets. And I'm sure there's other working people that would need, you know, the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's small. We're talking small. Just here in Texas, we're talking small businesses. That's like, I believe it's around 50,000 jobs, and it's over $1 billion. It's a $1 billion industry, is what I'm trying to say, and it's
over a $4 billion.
Farmers are going to suffer if we mess with this. I'm sorry, what'd you say?
It's over a $4 billion industry.
Oh, I'm sorry, 4 billion. Yeah. So 4 times what I said.
Yeah, it's a huge industry.
It's huge.
Yes. So my small business, I own a hemp dispensary and a cannabis education academy. And so
that's awesome.
One of the, obviously hemp is my biggest thing. The person that commented and told me that you were pro hemp also wanted to know how you plan on winning over moderate Republicans, because HD 93 is heavily GOP. And she wants to know what your plan is for convincing them.
I think it was a typo. District 9.
Is it? Okay. Well, I think HD 93 might share some of Senate District 9. So yeah, here's the thing, you know, if I'm representing Senate District 9, I have to represent, you know, everyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And is that, real quick, just for clarification, is that question regarding hemp? Because they're
no, so I don't know if it's a he or a she. It's Fort Worth Dinosaur. But said you were pro hemp, most important issue, but also said would like to know how you plan winning over the moderate Republicans, because district is, I guess it says HD 93, so I'm assuming HD 9 is heavily GOP. So we'd love to know his plan for convincing them.
Yeah, there's also 2 other questions that are on that same topic. There's one that says, with this being close to a special election, can you share some of your ideas to reach independent and moderate voters to unite behind you by November 4th? And the other one was, what's the plan for winning over moderates and Republicans and non-voters?
Okay, let's answer the question. This is a popular question. I love it. Yeah. So here's the thing. Quite simply, I know something we all share. No matter Republican, Democrat, Independent, most of those classifications, we all have a job, okay? And I want to help your job. I want to make sure you're paid well and you're paid fair. But more importantly, there's another thing that a lot of us share, not everyone, but property taxes. We need to find a way to lower them in this state. They're way too high. I think that, you know, if our property taxes are high, but we're not taxing hemp, guess what I think? We could maybe help out our property tax people with some hemp taxation. You know, call me crazy, but I think that makes sense. You know, listen, and that's what I'm saying, you know, the legislation needs to work for working Texans. You work and you buy a house. Let's say you're a great fiscally responsible person, and you end up paying your house off early, and you know, but you're getting hit heavily by these property taxes that go up. It seems to go up every year. And, you know, even so, when property taxes go up, when housing values go up, our property tax goes up. And, you know, it's just, to me, it's like, you know, I feel like if you buy it, you should own it. And you don't feel like you own it if you're always having to pay this tax, right?
Yep.
So again, that's something we need to really look at. There's a lot of work to be done, and you know, I know a really big thing also is the tolls in Senate District 9 are crazy. The tolls, they're predatory. Okay, it's insane. So these are a lot of the issues. I mean, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. We all know that these things suck and they need to change.
Yeah.
So that's what you would. That's
Those
you're
are the
just,
issues I need.
it's
Yeah,
just representing everybody and
yeah.
not just Democrats.
And here's the thing. You know, I'm running as a Democrat. I'm a Democrat, but you know, I still have to listen to Republicans, and I think a lot of the reason why, you know, Democrats have lost is they're not going into uncomfortable spaces and, you know, telling the Republicans who they really are. And I think that if, you know, we had more Democrats that are willing to go and talk to Republicans and say, hey, you know, like, I know we don't align in the same party, but, you know, let's find out where we do agree and let's work on those first. And then we can, you know, disagree about other things. But I want to find out what unites us, not what divides us. And, you know, I think if we really get to working and talking between each other, we can find that. We can find out what we do agree on and what we want to work on together. And I think those issues are going to be the ones that go up the quickest.
Interesting.
So I have a question about a bit of a more sensitive topic, just real quickly so I can get you on the record. When it comes to abortion access, if a bill comes before the Senate asking for a ban on further ban, continuation of what we have right now, would you oppose it? You believe
I would oppose it. Yeah.
Okay, good. Just wanted to make sure that we have you on record saying that you
okay,
and
yeah.
approve of a woman's right to choose, and then we can move right along.
All right, well, you got me on record now.
Thank you.
And, you know, as a man, I have, you know, really no business telling a woman what she can or cannot do. That's between her and her doctor. That's how I feel. Like
What? Are you okay? What? Is that common sense?
Yeah, I'm okay. Believe it or not, yeah.
Very good answer. I like that.
Okay, so I want to talk about gerrymandering, since this is obviously going to affect your election.
Gerrymandering, what's that?
So gerrymandering's left a lot of Texans feeling like they're underrepresented or not represented at all, obviously. So how would you work to restore the fair maps and representation in the state?
Real quick, I think that gerrymandering is something we see happening out of cycle right now. You know, it normally happens after the census every 10 years. It's, you know, been that way for a very long time. And I think that if voters are feeling underrepresented and they're not, you know, that's politicians failing them. You know, that is a failure of the politicians, you know. And again, I'm not saying you can please everyone, but my goodness, this is like, you know, do we hold anything sacred? You know, do we not hold the democracy sacred? And they know they're doing it egregiously. They know that this is a complete overreach, doing it how they're doing. You know, they're going to gerrymander it every 10 years, but they're so pressed that they're doing it mid, you know, halfway through, you know, at the 5-year mark. That's, you know, that's crazy. So I think that we're going to have to do something federally about the gerrymandering. You know, I think it's really hard to do to, you know, get something that I think would actually work, because there's a lot of things you could put in the law, but when it translates and you actually practice it, it could be something totally different. I mean, we know that, but you know, it's going to be hard. I don't have, I have a few ideas, but I think the main thing is that you have to elect people that are going to do the right thing. I think that's what it comes down to. So I would, you know, ask everyone to organize and mobilize in your local elections.
So we're talking about like, there's a lot of, it's definitely going to be hard, and I think the point that we've got to now, it's like it's just going to take so long to get back to where we need to be. But with this comes a lot of extremes, and we're talking about doing the right thing, but as far as extremes, with military being deployed into the states, where would you stand on that if that were to be something that were to be brought to our doorstep? I'm sorry about that.
Excuse me.
Go ahead.
As he chokes.
Like a pause.
We're gonna give Taylor just a minute to remember how to drink water, and we will be right back. I did it at work yesterday. It took me 45 minutes to recover. I had to go outside. It's like, I'm 43 years old. Why can't I drink water?
I do that a lot. Honestly. I do that a lot.
Like, you know what's worse? Choking on your spit. Choking on your spit.
Oh my
So
God.
like nobody's even seeing you drink anything.
In the middle of a conversation.
You're just like like a psycho.
By the way, guys, just to touch on what Taylor was talking about a minute ago, as far as Democrats and popularity amongst the electorate goes, I just want everyone to know the media, mainstream media, legacy media has focused a lot on unpopularity of Democrats right now. I need you guys to understand that it's the same with Republicans. So what that says is that voters don't like politicians in general. So if you want to win an election, don't be a politician, be a human being.
Yeah.
Forget about parties, forget about this agenda, that agenda, the establishment. Just be a neighbor and talk to us like we're human beings, and you're going to win elections.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
It's definitely
Back.
humanity, bringing back humanity.
Yeah.
So one of the things
More water.
He lives.
with the gerrymandering situation, I think I'm thinking more on like what we can do now. Like if you even prior to being elected, so they took out in where was it, it's in Dallas somewhere.
No, Tarrant County.
Tarrant County
I
took
think it was
out
100 polling
100
places.
polling places, and also cut the schedules for public transportation.
Yeah.
So that
This election. Yeah.
for this coming up election. Yeah.
Oh, and talking
I'm a
about
part of, yes.
military being sent into the states, and just real quick, they just announced yesterday that they are sending National Guard into 19 states. Texas is one of them. We are supposed to be the most occupied. California governor is of the opinion that this is being done in preparation for this election. This special election that's coming up in November, they're going to militarize it. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Welcome.
that's a pretty interesting prediction there. Bring it on. Like, bring it on. I mean, look, good luck. I mean, if they do that, then I think that look, I am focused on Senate District 9, and if they're coming to militarize and do something with this election, I think the people are going to see it and they're going to be pissed. So bring it on, and we're fighting as well. So we're fighting to organize and strategize to get the most voters to come out and vote. I mean, that's what it really comes down to. It's not very good politics to militarize cities like that. So that would be my answer.
Do you know if you lost any polling stations in your district, or if you got
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Is there anything that you guys plan on doing? Like, do you guys think that we could maybe reach out to, like, I don't know, Ubers or taxis or something like that? Like, if people to give like discounts to people that are going to polling stations, or somehow organize, carpooling or something
like the taxi moms, or because I don't think businesses can.
Yeah, I feel like there's something
Uber does it on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, but this is electioneering. I don't think that they can do anything that could benefit.
That's probably true.
But private companies.
My team is working to try and help, any voter of any classification or party, anyone. Just my team is trying to help find ways to get people to the polls. And I did speak at Commissioner's Court about this. Them reducing the polling locations and everything. I think history's going to look back at this, and they're going to it's going to reflect that they diminish democracy, not expanding it by reducing the polling locations. I don't care if one person went to that polling location, because that's what it's there for. You can't put a price on a vote. That's my opinion. And I think it's an opinion of a lot of Americans. Just like you said, if they militarize and they try and do something with this election, history will reflect what they did. And there are things we can do after the fact. So, it is disheartening to see, but we're working on it, and bring it on.
Speaking of them doing crazy things like that, I assume that you know about Nicole Collier getting locked in the Capitol, the attack on the Texas 51 Dems. Do you feel like what they did was excessive, breaking quorum, refusing to sign the 24-hour stuff?
If you negotiate with someone more powerful, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like a company, and they're not negotiating fairly, what do? We go on strike. It's no different in my eyes.
So you support what they did, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, they went on strike. In my eyes, that's what they did. They said, "Well, okay, you're not even going to negotiate fairly about this and talk about this. You're just going to try and push it through." I think that's within the Texas Constitution. That's perfectly fine if they do that.
Yeah.
They
don't do it all the time. I feel like they use it respectfully.
Exactly. And they're entitled to it. It's part of you're right. It's part of the Constitution.
It is.
So Taylor, why don't you tell us how we can find you online, on socials, where your next event is going to be, if you're appearing on any podcast coming up?
So you can go to taylorfortx.com, and I have a little rally here if y'all want to.
Okay,
yeah.
we could, if you want to send that to us, we could post it on our socials for you whenever we
let's do that.
Yeah,
it's gonna be fun. This is gonna be a great time. So
we'll post that on our socials, guys.
Okay. So taylorfortx.com. You can check me out there. Please donate. But or sign up to volunteer. There's a link down there. Got to scroll down, but that's where you can check me out at. I got socials too, Taylor Rehmet, and then so check me out, guys.
Awesome. And then Chastity, what was the question from last week?
So we do this thing on every episode where we ask the current person that's being interviewed a question that the last person that was interviewed left for you, not knowing that it was going to be you. So Justin Early wanted to ask you, if you could be any instrument, what would it be and why?
Okay. So I'm gonna be straight
up. He had this
up.
big long theory behind it, but I can't remember what it was exactly.
No, he said he was the bass because the bass is like the rhythm and the foundation of the whole band.
Okay, I don't have that good of an answer, but I will tell you, I would be the French horn, because I actually played it for 3 years. And I was kind of good. I was actually for some reason good at it. Huh?
How old are you? If you don't mind me asking.
I don't mind. I'm 33. Why?
Okay, you're 10 years younger than me. So I played the French horn too, and it was like 92, 93 when Jurassic Park was big. And the Jurassic Park theme song was written for French horn, and it's the best.
Well,
So good.
that's my favorite movie, by the way. I love Jurassic Park, so thank you for sharing that info with me. That's awesome. Yeah.
Would you like to leave a question for the next guest?
I would. What is your favorite Texas roadside attraction?
Ooh, that's a good
That's
one.
an interesting one.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That is a good one.
And do you have a final message that you want to say directly to the people who are voting in District 9?
Yes. Join a union. Like, and if you don't know how, find out what trade you are, and then you can even go to the IAM website, the International Association of Machinists, and if you talk to their organizer, they'll either find someone in your job classification, or they may even be able to organize you, and that would be something special.
So I just want to point out, you guys, to everyone considering Taylor for candidacy for a seat on the Senate, he just had an opportunity to plug himself and plugged his union. So if you want to know how much of not a politician Taylor is,
Yeah, I guess I should have.
Like,
Okay, that was good. I didn't
guy,
even think about
guys.
that. Yeah, I should have. Okay, also, please go to my website. I'm going to ruin that now. Please go to my website and join me in this fight.
No, that was awesome.
All
That
right,
was awesome.
ladies and gentlemen, that is Taylor Rehmet. He is running for Texas Senate District 9. Reach out to his socials. We'll post some information on our socials later. Any last words, anybody?
No.
Taylor, thank you for your service.
Thank you, everyone. I
Yes,
appreciate
thank you
it.
for coming.
All right,
I had
Taylor,
a
thank
lot
you
of
so
fun.
much,
Thank
and
you.
we'll see y'all later.
Good luck.
All right, bye-bye.